Hi, my name is Patricia De Silva, and I am an emerging PA. I was born in a small country in the Middle East called Bahrain in 1993. My healthcare experience started from before I was even born because my mother is a registered nurse, so I've been around healthcare for as long as I can remember. One of my earliest memories is being 6 years old and terrified that my favorite stuffed animal was sick with the flu. A doctor that my mother worked with sat with me and took a complete history of my stuffed toy's illness. He told me what an excellent job I had done taking care of him. That doctor was an ICU doctor and had more important things to do than sit around talking to a little kid. That memory sticks out to me because of how important he made me feel, and I carry it with me to this day as a reminder of how small gestures can inspire people for a lifetime. 5 minutes of that doctor's day turned into an everlasting memory for one little girl. When I was 10 years old, my family moved from Bahrain to Toronto. Even though I had spoken English my entire life, the transition to Canada and its weather was definitely a difficult one. I came from a Middle Eastern country where the coldest temperature we had to deal with was 12 degrees, so I didn't think it was possible to survive at -40. Let alone was I ready to deal with the extreme weather conditions and the havoc it would wreak, as I've shown you in this video clip. So that was definitely an interesting experience to get used to. I quickly grew to love Canada and all the wonderful things that it brings. But the memory of the isolation and fear that came with being a new immigrant is an experience that has definitely shaped who I am today. For as long as I can remember, I have wanted to be a medical professional. Inspired by the examples set by my mother and her coworkers, I always believed medicine to be the noblest profession, driven by a passion to alleviate suffering. All through undergrad, my goal was to be a doctor. I pulled all-nighters, I volunteered at nursing homes and cancer walks, I worked 3 jobs, including as a neurofeedback trainer and a lab coordinator. In the first week of October 2014, I submitted my application to medical school. However, at the end of that month, I was struck by a tragedy, and it sent my life into freefall. I got rejected from medical school, but I barely even registered it. I began to question my career goals. My life until that point had been a series of sacrifices, all to attain a high GPA. I was only 21, and yet it felt like my undergraduate career was a blur with no notable moments. Medicine lost much of its appeal with all the years of school and the endless competitiveness. I investigated other careers, but nothing appealed to me. I felt desolate, that the only way I could achieve my dreams was to enter a profession that was known for having a poor work-life balance. Until I learned about the PA profession. Being a PA included everything I had loved about medicine: an active role in diagnosis and clinical interventions, and working directly with patients and impacting their care. Most importantly, the PA profession makes healthcare more accessible to patients, which is something I've always cared deeply about. As a PA, I could achieve my dreams of becoming the health provider I had always dreamed of, while not sacrificing as much of my time and money to get there. I never applied to medical school again, and instead focused all my efforts into getting into PA school. My first 2 attempts, I applied to McMaster and was unsuccessful. After that, I became the patient flow coordinator for a chronic pain clinic at Toronto Western Hospital, where I gained the required number of hours to apply to U of T and got in on my first shot. At U of T thus far, I have met the most amazing classmates, and here's a picture of us on the day of our stethoscope ceremony. I would describe myself as a compassionate and empathetic person. All my previous healthcare experience comes from working with chronic pain patients, which helped me develop my empathy and also taught me how to practice self-care. I also consider myself a driven person. I worked 3 jobs and maintained a high GPA, which required a lot of self-discipline. My current career goals are to be a competent, empathetic, and well-rounded healthcare professional. I'm still working on which medical specialty I feel most comfortable in, so I'm using my LCE opportunities to help me figure that out. I do feel most passionate about working in any pediatric specialty. I think my experiences with the doctor I mentioned earlier has made me really want to replicate that feeling for other children. All my previous academic experience has been face to face. Waking up early for classes, getting dressed, planning lunches, all of these inconveniences made me think that I would be so excited for online learning. 1 month in, and maybe I'm not as good of an online learner as I thought I was. Apparently, I get very lonely on my own, and there's a lot of stuff to procrastinate with at home. However, I am a poor auditory learner, which often makes lectures a challenge for me, so the ability to pause and process information has been a very useful tool. I'm also typically an independent learner, but the isolation of online learning has made me seek out more group study opportunities with my classmates. All of this has been an overwhelming but wonderful experience, which has taught me a lot more about myself and my learning styles. I think that about concludes my video for today. So thank you so much for watching my personal profile, and I hope you